We're talking about mortgage and mortgage rates, right? It's a big burden among, I'm going to say people our age right now getting, in our mid 30s at this point. I know some people, and it's going to sound ridiculous when I say this. Some people are paying, upwards to $12,000 a month entirely interest on their home, right?
Yeah, I can
And
totally believe that.
and I'm sure you may know such individuals who share, no, maybe not to that magnitude or that extreme, but you know, for two spouses hypothetically, right? Let's just say they're on the above average, and above average, I'm just gonna say $120,000, right? Where you have husband and wife making that sum of money. I mean, $120,000, 10 grand a month. You're going home with roughly about $7,100. Net taxes, right? Which means on a household income you got 14 grand going home, right? But I mean, 12 grand is going to to your mortgage interest, right?
Yeah.
You are eventually digging yourself into a pit, right? Because eventually you're gonna have to you have $2,000 to work with to pay for groceries, property taxes, and whatnot on behalf of your children as well, right? It's not exactly easy for such individuals to live that kind of life.
I actually think that well, a lot of people who maybe got the huge mortgages over the last couple of years weren't like no one has ever seen rates like this.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody. And like to think that this was even a possibility, no one would have even thought. So nobody, I mean, in my circle of friends or even people that we know, like would have even had considered that 5, 6% was even a possibility 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Nobody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the way that the bank kind of hiked rates, it's unprecedented. And obviously, like I heard the last article that they wrote was that this is the highest interest rate in the last 22 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like effective, right?
Yeah, I mean, the last time we had these interest rates was during the early '90s, right? And we were
Yeah,
kids at the
exactly.
time.
Yeah, we would never have
We
known.
didn't care, we didn't experience that. But also, mortgages back then, you know, in East Vancouver, a house was $350,000 as well, right? You didn't need to take
If
out,
that,
if
if
that,
that.
right? I mean, I
Yeah.
remember my parents, they sold in East Vancouver a home, in the '90s. It was like 280,000 was the closing, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And no, that was considered standard at the time. It was the bottom of the market before things started appreciating, right? But they were taking out people who had mortgages back then. You have to remember a lot of people lost their homes in the '80s on variable
Yeah.
mortgages when those
Yeah.
mortgages went up to 18-20%, right? And people of our generation never had to experience that, so a lot of us took variable rates. When we started buying homes, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but it's your word, you called it unprecedented, right? And surely it certainly is, but obviously no, they do have to hike up rates, right? They need to make some sort of cushion again should something else happen in the future, right? You can't go into 0% interest rates, right? But what they're no, like they said, what they're doing, they're taking a step on the pedal, right, to hike these interest rates in the event that something bad happens again, right?
Yeah, and inflation
Arguable,
was running at
yeah,
8% last
arguable on
year.
both sides, right?
Yeah.
That the interest rates are good or bad. I mean, it's always anything that's bad for the individual is good for the economy. Again, anything good for the economy is great for the individual, right? Typically.
Hmm.
But no, that's kind of the way it goes, right? And like you said about rising inflation rates, right? It's getting out of hand, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
Like I mean, just going grocery shopping,
you've
like
noticed it. I've noticed it.
oh yeah, definitely.
How
But
much? How
even the
much do you
things that
spend a
like
month?
don't really change.
How much do you spend a month on groceries, roughly, all in, give or take?
Groceries with like actual like eating out and stuff, or just
Just
groceries.
groceries, like your Walmart, your Superstore, your Costco per month on average.
I don't spend that much.
Okay.
I probably eat out more than I should.
Yeah.
Um,
Is this eating
but
out for like lunch or like take home type of food?
oh no, like it's I have two kids. It's hard to, get home and cook dinner and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just get lazy and it is what it is. So then you Uber Eats it, right?
Yeah.
So, um, but grocery bills, I mean, I would say 600 to 700 a month, maybe probably less than that, maybe
Yeah.
500.
Sure.
So it's that's pretty reasonable for like two adults and two kids.
Yeah.
But like I said, right, like I will eat out quite often, just based off of the fact that we don't have really time.
Yeah.
Like I do work long shifts, my wife works, and then my kids are at my in-laws, and it's
Yeah.
just it's chaos, right?
Well, you're lucky there, right? You have it.
Yeah.
No offense. Sounds like free babysitting, right?
No, we pay.
Oh, you pay. Fair enough.
We pay.
Okay, but it's a nice to have, right?
Oh, 100%. Like honestly, it's worth it. It's worth it for us.
Yeah. But no.
How much do you pay? How much do you pay for groceries a month?
Pre-pandemic, okay, it was about $400 a month, and which was, I think, considerably low compared to my peers. Now it's closer to about $700 a month, but then I'm adding
Wow.
I'm adding a kid in there as well.
Yeah, but that's.
I don't think the kid is that
that's
expensive.
a 75% increase.
Yeah, I don't think the kid is that expensive. I mean, there's there's diapers, there's wipes, right? Formula, baby food, whatnot. Probably, I'm probably adding $50 to $70 a month on the baby, right? But
Yeah.
I cut beef out of my diet because I think
Beef's expensive.
it's too expensive.
So today, just to give you some inflation
Go for it.
examples, anecdotally, right?
Yeah,
I used to buy the pack of Costco rib grilling steaks.
Sure.
And that was kind of like a luxury that I would have
the
once
New York strips, right?
non New York strips.
No.
It's the rib grilling steaks that
Okay.
are probably
Yeah, yeah.
about.
I know.
I remember it was a 3-pack for like $45,
Yeah.
and that was like the higher end one. They had
Yeah.
like the one that was a little bit lower, and you can get like 3 for like 30 something bucks.
Yeah, those
right?
are the strips. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So then I would get the rib grilling steaks. It would be like once every 2 months I would maybe get it.
Sure.
And it would be like a luxury, and I would do it.
Yeah.
I have some health issues, so then I really watch my diet now.
Cholesterol.
No,
No.
gout.
Okay. Fair
Gout.
enough. Okay, I'm cholesterol.
So rib grilling steaks. Guess how much a 3-pack is at Costco now?
It's like
I said,
$55 now.
$45 pre-pandemic.
Yeah. No, it was
Guess how much I
45.
paid
It was
just now?
$45 during pandemic.
Yeah. So guess how much I just paid
Yeah,
today?
it's
I
like
just went and bought
in the
today.
50. It's in the 50-ish range. I know that.
Nope.
No,
Nope.
more now.
It's more. More.
Okay. Fair enough. 60. It must be in the 60s now.
$75.
There you go. Okay.
So that's like what, like a
$25 a steak.
50 to 75% increase.
Yeah. $25 a
Insane.
steak. Why are you buying steaks? Why don't you just go out?
I actually like cooking my own steaks.
Yeah,
It's
no, it tastes
actually
better.
like I actually really
No.
like it now.
I agree. Steaks at home are generally better than what you can get at a restaurant if you can do it properly yourself. All right.
Sous vide. You sous vide the steaks and then
I
pan
do.
fry.
I do reverse here.
Oh, okay.
It's,
Did you know that? Did you know that the person that created the Instant Pot, that company went bankrupt?
I did not know that.
Yeah, they just announced.
Yeah. No, the Instant company went bankrupt.
Yeah.
Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah, they expanded too much during the pandemic.
They
and
made too
now-
much crap. So,
Now the interest is killing them, right?
yeah,
Too many loans.
yeah. I bought an instant air fryer. It didn't last long. 1
No?
year. It lasted 1 year.
Oh, nice.
But as for inflation, yeah, it's up to about $700 a month. I cut beef out of my diet because I wouldn't say completely. Like I just bought ground beef the other day. Lean ground beef, right? To make salted beef. Mostly chicken now. I don't eat that much pork just because it's higher in saturated fats. But mostly chicken, some turkey, right? But I mean, no, it's not that it's not that I can't afford it, Jake. I can certainly afford it. By now I just don't find it reasonable.
Yeah,
at this
it's the
point.
choices that you make, right?
Right.
Again, it's like some things that you feel like you can splurge on, and some things just like you can find alternatives that are a little bit cheaper. And again, this comes down to the increased cost of living. You can't just continue the way you're doing things, making the same amount of money. It just doesn't work.
Well, your decisions have to change, right?
100%.
The nature of your environment changes. You have to adapt to it. But how about this coming out of the pandemic? Tip culture is such a mess.
Oh, yeah.
I had to make a decision yesterday. I wanted to order out last night. There's a Singaporean place. I love Singaporean food.
Singaporean is very good. I'm Malaysian.
fair enough. I didn't know that. Some differences. I like Malaysian food more. The Singaporean,
They're both very good.
The Singaporean food
They're
is
both very
close.
good.
The Singaporean restaurant's closer to me. Nonetheless, here's a question: Do you tip on pickup?
I was going to ask that exact same question to you. I do not tip on pickup because I just don't think that they deserve a tip
No.
for them
Where's the service?
passing the food to me.
But where's the yeah, exactly. Where's the service, right?
But
So,
you know what? There's a lot of people that do tip on pickup.
so yeah, there
Teach
is.
their own. Teach their own, right?
To each,
But I mean,
I googled
it's
this right after. Okay, so I googled this, and apparently it's customary to tip 10 to 15% upon pickup.
no. Who
That
says that? Which article?
Google Americans.
American culture is a little bit different than
Yeah,
here, I feel.
obviously they tip way larger on service for
Yes.
within their tipping culture. No, Canada. No, in America, no, it starts 20, 25, 30. Canada, you'll see 18, 20, 25.
20, 25, yeah.
Yeah. So it's slightly lower at the end of the day. It bothers me that they pass through the terminal and the queue for the tip comes up, and I'm pretty sure that's just automated from whatever. But it comes up with the 18, 20, 25% upon pickup. It annoys me. But here's the kicker that I'm gonna throw at you. I get a tip request when I go to Subway. I don't know if you noticed
Well,
that.
I mean, even now going to Starbucks, same thing.
I haven't gone to Starbucks for at least 3 years now, so I haven't noticed it.
I have gone a couple times. I don't typically go a lot, but I will sometimes. And honestly, everywhere does tip now. Like you'd be surprised some of the places that ask for a tip.
So I wouldn't say again. It's not that I can't afford it. When I checked out, the tip was $6. It's not going to make or break the bank. It certainly impacted my decisions because I went upstairs after I made dumplings for dinner. I was
It's a
I was
principle.
I was
It's the
pissed off
principle.
enough to like it was all in my in cards, right? And people can call me a biggest cheap ass or whatever accountant I am at the end of the day, but you know by principle, like I had to close my browser window from the takeout menu because I didn't want to pay that $6 at the end of the day for a $30 meal. I don't know, like
I
it's
to when I'm at the terminal and I pick up food, I have no shame doing zero shame.
yeah, no, I do the same.
Completely different if I'm at the restaurant than like yeah, like I don't
When
do.
I'm
Okay,
sitting,
so
yeah, when
so
I'm
my
sitting
my
down,
question is, what's your average tip? What's your average tip when you're sitting down eating?
18. I do
18?
18%.
I
Yeah,
do 15.
fair
I do
enough.
15, and then if it's like a nicer place, I'll do more. And if
Well,
I actually really think that they deserve like a more of a tip based off the service, I will tip more.
sure.
But I don't tip under 15 if I'm sitting down, and I tip 0 when I pick up.
Yeah, yeah. I tip 0 when I pick up, but it's the queue. It's the default queue that and the place fast food. The fact it happens at fast food at this point, I don't think it's justified.
No, it's not.
I mean,
And
it's your
it's funny.
job.
It's
It's your
here's
job.
the thing. Here's the thing. It's their job, but they know for a fact the fact that they even just put the tip and let that person make the decision. 50% of the people are just going to tip them,
Absolutely.
even though they don't really feel comfortable doing it. They're still going to.
Yeah,
So
by
like
default.
it's just instant profit for them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's
But
not really going to deter them from going again. They may complain a little bit, but they're still going to go back to these restaurants, still pick up and order food from them.
so why do you tip nice? Why do you tip more at nicer places? Like if it was a sit-down family restaurant like a diner, you would tip, say 15. And if it was a
Yep.
nicer place, say, I don't know if you call Keg nicer. I'm just calling.
I would say
Right.
keg is
Okay,
decent.
sure. And let's just call Keg, right? And let's just say you tip. Would you tip 18% at Keg?
Yeah, I probably do 18 to 20.
But what's the justification?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think I just feel like again, it's like the pressure of being at a nicer place.
Hmm.
I don't feel like. Here's the thing. I actually think that you actually get better service at a diner in a small mom and pop shop.
I think it could go both ways.
No, like, yeah, it depends. Are you going to a mom and pop shop, or are you going to like a different place, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's just like the pressure I think there is a little bit of pressure being in a nicer place, and then you get the bill, and these people are like looking at you, and it just feels a little bit different, you know?
Sometimes they don't even bother looking, right? I quite frankly don't think people, like, I don't think the servers truly care whether it's a 15, 18, or 20.
Yeah, they do. I used to work in the service industry.
Okay.
They care.
You did care. You know.
Oh no.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Sorry.
So
Maybe that's not the right question. You noticed, I guess. Like you
they
could do
will
the math.
100% notice. They will 100% notice.
Okay.
100%.
So I do flat
And the
18.
fun.
I do flat
Okay,
18
flat
regardless
18's
where
I
I
think
go.
that's fair. I think
Wherever
that's
I
fair.
go, I mean, whether it's keg, it's just easy, right? And like I said, let 3% or the 2% from 20, it's not going to make or break the bank, but it lessens my need for a decision making. Need for a
Yes.
decision making.
You've already in your mind made that decision before going in that you're going to
Yeah.
tip 18%, and then there's no decision. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
whether it's good or bad service. Like even if I got
Yeah.
the crappiest, shittiest service, right?
Hmm.
They still brought my food to the table. I did hope they didn't spit into it, right? But they might have been a jackass of a server, but at the end of the day, I don't know what impacted them to give me that bad attitude. Quite frankly, I don't care. I got my food, I ate,
Yeah.
I left. I left my dirty dishes there. They're gonna get 18%, right?
So you have a young child now.
I
You're
do.
probably transitioning to like how often did you go out before your kid, and how often do you go out now?
The pandemic affected me more than my child.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not that I don't go out because I have a child. I don't go out as much because I've chosen. Not that I'm scared of COVID. I don't even think COVID's an issue at this point. It's just my
No,
opinion.
no.
I go out maskless. I had 3 shots. I haven't gotten my 4th and my 5th, like some other people I know. I just don't think it's a large concern. But I've chosen to cook more at home.
That's good.
Obviously, I was forced into it during the pandemic to make more meals at home, as well as it's just cheaper at this point, right? My
100%.
my grocery bill, like I said, it's about $700 a month. My eating out, we probably order out 4 to 5 times a month, at most, and
That's actually quite low.
we're talking,
That's not bad. Once a week.
generally,
Right?
yeah, once a week, right? And we're talking, the order between 35 and $50, right?
Yeah.
No, that's generally, and it wouldn't be, generally wouldn't be one-time meals. No, 35 bucks would be like your sushi because I don't like overnight sushi. If I ordered, say, Chinese food, it'd be for like 2 days or something, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like
Yeah,
that
definitely.
dinner and some leftovers for lunch the next day or something, right? So yeah, about 4 or 5 times a month, at most, and mainly as just a health. It was a health decision. I had cholesterol checks during the pandemic. No, coming out of the pandemic, probably late 2021. It was much higher, probably because I was ordering out. Ordering out, probably eating crap, throughout my life. And at this point, it's more of a health decision than a I have a kid. I don't have time to go out type of thing, right?
Yeah. For me personally, um, not even a health choice or whatever. I just feel like it's so hard having 2 kids trying to get out for dinner. It just doesn't make sense for me anymore.
Logistically,
It
it's difficult.
It is.
right?
It is very difficult, and it's like obviously we're just going out and having a dinner, but like I don't want it to be like a big thing where I'm needing to have a lot of planning, and it's just like the kids have tantrums. You
Yeah.
kind of feel a little bit embarrassed, and it's just like you know what? I'm just gonna get Uber Eats,
Yeah.
deliver right to my door.
Sure.
I don't even have to go out, and we're gonna have a nice meal, and we usually get what we usually get anyways, so
Yeah.
it's great. And like the kids can do their thing after,
Yeah.
and it's just clockwork, right?
Exactly.
Whereas like we're gonna have to pack the kids, we're gonna pack their seats, then we're gonna have to like sit there, and then sometimes it takes a long time, and it's like I don't know. I think that once you have more than one kid, and then you just get really tired, right? Like
How old are your kids?
my girl is almost 5, and
Okay.
my little guy just turned 2.
Okay, so no, the little one's still not walking at this point. He's more, you still
No,
have to
my,
handle.
my guy,
Yeah.
he's been walking since he was like 8 months. He's
Okay.
crazy.
Yeah, no, mine's
Absolutely
been walking
insane.
since 12 months, but no, I don't trust
No.
him to go walk on his own.
No,
Just through the door
definitely
type
not.
of thing. You still have
Definitely
to,
not.
pick him up, get him
Yeah.
through the door, put him in his seat, and hopefully he doesn't run out of his seat type of thing, right?
I will say though, this is like a dad finance type channel.
Yeah.
The best restaurant, hands down, for young kids is White Spot. I
No.
will say that to the bitter end.
Sure.
White Spot is my place to go if I need to go have food with my family and we want to go out. White Spot makes everything easy, and it's so family friendly.
Yeah. I
All day,
agree. No, I
all
like
day.
White Spot. Um, their prices have gone up quite considerably.
Oh, but that's
Yeah.
the thing. Like it is super.
Everyone,
like, I
regardless
consider
where
I
you go,
can
everything has gone
yeah,
up.
I consider it a lot more expensive because like say my wife and I have an entree and then the kids have pirate packs or like
Yeah.
they have one pirate pack and add an entree. It's like
Sure.
$75.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quite
It's about
expensive.
$20 a person now, basically,
Yeah,
right? You're not
it
going to
is.
get away with like your $12.99 legendary burger combo,
No,
right?
no, things are different now. Things are different now.
But here's the thing. Okay, so let's skip to the next topic. Has your salary indexed for the cost of inflation?
So I work in a government job,
Sure.
so my salary does usually peg to inflation. So whatever inflation is, that's my raise.
Yeah. Do you think
So
it'll-
I'm super lucky. Like
Okay.
it's like I don't really need to negotiate. I don't need to do anything. My salary is literally what it says on the website. That's what I make.
Yeah, but no, say, it's posted 8% inflation. We all saw that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We know I feel, I don't know if you feel, things are more than 8%. Things
Much
cost
more
more
than
than
8%.
8%.
Much more than 8%.
Right.
Much more.
I mean, forget the mortgage interest, right? Whether you're fixed or variables, that's, it's such a large variable depending on, what size of a loan you took out, right? But,
Yeah.
so we forget that. We include things like, whatever is variable, gasoline, transportation, groceries, eating out. Cell phones didn't really change that much.
Actually, I feel like cell phone bills went down.
Yeah, a little bit.
The-
Right?
the intense
Utilities,
competition.
the wireless utilities went down. Your
Yeah.
internet probably stayed the same, if not
Yeah,
went
stayed the
down,
same. Yeah, that stayed
right?
the same.
Your property taxes went up. Your stratus went up. Your home insurance has gone up. Everything's gone up. It's more.
Yeah.
It's way more than 8%.
Way more than 8%. I agree. It is
Yeah.
more than 8%. So like people are fighting an uphill battle, right? Like
Yeah.
if you're hoping to like just stay with inflation, you're gonna lose.
Yeah, and so I mean, you getting inflation basically or cost of living cola at the end of the day, it
Yeah.
really didn't cover.
No, definitely not.
Your what we call it, your life, not expectations, but your bank account isn't necessarily going up. You're not saving more really.
Again, it comes down to how people make that choice of what to cut and what to continue to spend on.
Correct.
So like again, like with the increased cost of living, you know that your salary isn't keeping up.
Yeah.
So your expenses are ballooning.
Yeah.
You have to make that choice. Like what do you cut out? Like some
Correct.
people just cut out like, hey, I don't really need Netflix anymore. Or hey, I don't really need this streaming site. I'm not really using it. Or you know what? I'm going to downgrade to I'm going to bike to work. Like say for example, they live close enough that they can bike to work. They may
Sure.
not drive or may not take transit. They'll bike, right?
Yeah.
People will make that sacrifice and that choice. It just people have to adjust based off what's happening in their life, right?
My raise this year was 3%.
Yeah.
My raise last year was 2.5%, and the year before it was 2.5%.
Yeah, that's
Granted, no, I do sit at a relatively good salary. I'm not going to complain, right?
yeah.
My day job is great. I do work a full day. It's pre-pandemic. It was, my role was, my work gave me a brand new role. They made a position for me in, data analytics. I basically do statistics during the day now. That role was made for me. It was pretty slow. I wasn't really fully utilized. My time. I had admitted to my boss I was probably 70% utilized at most. Right, I probably worked 5 hours a day and hum and hawed thinking about how can I make my job even more efficient. For about 2 hours a day. Looking for apps, looking for extensions. Looking for before ChatGPT came up, looking for ways to make my job even easier, right? And they fully support it, right? They basically said, whatever
They want to make you more efficient.
They do.
Like
Yeah,
then you just get more work done.
if you can do your job in 1 hour and dick around for 6 hours, That's good because you can figure out how to even make your job even better for those next 6 hours. Find other things to do to fill up those other 6 hours among that free time.
I still remember working a job like that where you had to account for all your time, right? Like
Oh,
I used to work
absolutely.
at
Yep.
I used to work at the
Timesheets.
CRA, and
Timesheets, yeah.
like that was like my last accounting
Whip,
job.
right? Whip. You guys
Yeah,
call it whip? Yeah.
and you yeah, and you had to keep track of your that like it was actually dollars per hour.
Yep.
How much were you actually getting back in tax per
Yeah.
hour? And like
Correct.
what were you doing for your time? You had to say you work an 8 hour day, like you have to account for your time on different files, and you
Yep.
just stuff time on this file. Hey, this file it was nice and quick.
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna
all
spend
went
more
through
time on
that.
this. Like we all do that stuff, right?
No,
But
we all
then
went through that. Yeah, I went through that at
yeah,
the firms, I'm going to call them, right? No, my charge out time. No, they paid me 28 or $30 an hour, and they charged me out at 159. Right?
I find that accounting. I don't know. I think accounting's a big scam, but that's just me.
Um, well, I mean, I'm gonna call it. There's overhead, right? And no, they need to
Yeah,
make.
I know it's true.
They're
It's
making the
true.
spread on you, right? I mean, they're
Yeah.
paying for your desk in a very expensive
Yeah, there's a lot
downtown
of different
area.
expenses. There's a lot of different
There,
expenses that need to
there's the
get
lease
accounted for.
costs, there's the professional development, and no, all in all, no, that just might be double, right? Really, I'm a
Yeah.
cost. No, at the end of the day, my salary and my overhead, it might cost them $60 an hour, and they're charging me out at 159 because I'm really dicking around for 1.5 hours a day. I'm really billing 6 hours to the client, and
Yeah.
somehow they're going to have to fill up that 1.5 hours, which I'm screwing around. And they have to make spread, right? They're charging me out
Yeah. Yeah.
159, and they're
Yeah.
making $70 or $80 an hour spread on me, right? It's no different than saying you're hiring a trades guy to do your plumbing. They turn one bolt and they charge you $125 to turn a nut to stop the leak, basically, right?
Yeah.
It, it
My point of like everything I was gonna say was that like I still remember that doing that kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety. Like you're needing to account for all your
all your
time.
time, yeah. And
It's
people made
tough.
it up.
Like
No, people made it up as well,
oh,
right?
100% people made it up, but like
Yeah.
I just could not do that anymore. Like I couldn't that's kind of why wasn't really that interested in accounting anyway, so then like I kind of got out of that
You got
that
out early.
yeah, I got out very early.
Yeah.
So
You're lucky I was fired. I
oh
didn't
man.
meet my chargeable hours.
That's it's tough, man. Like honestly, okay, like and like yeah, you're saying you got fired. Like that's like it's funny, right? Like back in the day, like you're like obviously a lot younger. You're not really having that much responsibility, and now like people are losing jobs and they don't they don't know what to do, right? Cost of living, they have mortgages, they have families to feed, and like it's a tough world right now that we live in.
It's
Seriously.
tough, but how I get through it, Jake, is I work two jobs.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
I told you that the other day. I don't think you knew
That's
that.
crazy. No, I didn't.
I
No.
have a full time day job, right? And that day job, I told you, it pays me quite well.
Yeah.
Um, I pretty much work about 5.5, 6 hours, actual work at my day job now, right? Like, I told you pre-pandemic when that job was made for me, I was doing maybe, you know, 70% utilized. I'm probably working 4.5 hours a day, right? I'm doing about 6 hours a day now just because, as the job evolves, there's more responsibilities that are attained, right? Um,
Right.
so, it pays me quite well. I'm not complaining about the compensation. Well, I'll allude to that part later.
Everyone can complain about the
Right.
compensation, but like
Everyone can,
it's
yeah.
good. It's good
It's
enough,
good.
right?
It's not great. It's good enough, right? On a
Yeah.
dollar per
Yeah.
hour basis, no, I shouldn't complain, right? It's it's better than what average people make. No, my night job, I turn off my day job laptop. I turn that off at 5 o'clock, right? Whether I'm in the middle of an email and I'm done all my calls, that plug comes out right away, right? And basically then I start my night job. And my night job being my full-time practice, right?
So how often, how many hours do you think you're pulling in for that second job after you get off at 5 o'clock?
I wake up at 8 a.m. every morning. Okay, so my
Yeah.
wife deals with our kid every day. And he cries every night. So he'll wake up at 6 a.m. crying, and
Mm-hmm.
she gets out of bed and she deals with it. So I'm very fortunate. And she's a full-time stay-at-home mom at this point.
Right.
She was a freelance graphic designer, prior to having our child. She basically gave that up almost entirely because she has to, at this point, take care of the kid, change the kid, feed the kid, do everything, because I'm basically an astronaut dad. No, I'm physically there. I'm mentally not, right?
Oh, 100%.
So
can
I
relate to
start
that
my second
sometimes.
job. No, I wake up at 8 o'clock. I walk the dog. I shit the dog. I maybe have coffee and a banana, and I start my day job at 9, and I turn
Yeah.
off at 5. My second job,
Okay.
I start at 5. I'll respond to emails right away or whatever emergency stuff needs to be done with. Then I'll probably eat dinner 5:30 to 6. Right, I'll take the dog out from 6 to 6:30. So really, I'll start working around 6:45 once I'm back at my computer, and
Yeah.
I'll go all the way to about 1 a.m. So we're talking 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. to
Wow.
1
Wow.
a.m. I'm basically in this chair. So that's about 19 hours minus 3 hours of eating, coffee making, dog walking, whatever, right? So about 15, 16 hours a day for about 5 days. And then I still work weekends as well
So how long have you been doing this?
since 2012 when I got fired.
Wow. 10 years of working that much?
I had to, right? You have to remember, when I started the practice, my first year, Jake, I made $5,000.
Wow.
Sorry.
How many,
Sorry, no, I'll take that back. My first year, my sales were $5,000. I lost $2,000. $2,000 in the hole. That was 2012. that was calendar 2013. I was $2,000 in the hole,
Jeez.
which was fine.
That's crazy.
That was my first.
That's crazy.
I didn't break $100,000 in the business until 2016, 5 years later, in sales, not profit. Right. It was not easy. I think I was very lucky to have started early. Right. I don't imagine anyone our age, if they were in accounting, starting a practice, from scratch at this point. I think that'd be insane. If you're in your late 30s, early 40s, it makes sense to buy a practice. But buying a practice, you're gonna have tons of attrition. Not everyone's gonna stay. Right? Not everyone knows you. Right. So yeah, Jake. I mean, I've been doing this. I've had to work 2 jobs, right? To sustain a mortgage, to generate savings, for the purposes of I would call it surviving. I do much better than surviving in Vancouver, despite how expensive a city is. Albeit my mortgage is not that much. My mortgage is $2,500 a month. I'm very lucky. I bought my place about the same time you did, 2017. But my mortgage I'm on a fixed mortgage. I've paid it down to the extent I could. My balance today is about 370. With about, I think,
That's good. That's
12,
really good.
I think about 12 years amortization left, but I'm accelerating all the payments. My goal is basically to be mortgage free as fast as I can, even at 1.59%, so I don't have to worry about the debt.
But like that doesn't I mean,
It doesn't make sense, does it?
I mean, you're laughing because you knew what I was going to say. It doesn't make any sense.
I'm pretty sure everyone in chat is really like, what the fuck right now? Like at 1.59%.
I know. Like, come on, you're an
paying down your
accountant.
debt?
You're paying down your debt at 1.7%.
Yeah, I could stick it in S&P 500 and make 12%, right?
Well, you can stick it in a savings account, make like GICs that make 5.5 right now.
Okay, so I'll take that back, Jake. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay, so I'm not putting it in the stock market, right? Whatever spread I can make on GICs, right? No, since the GIC rates have been going up, right? And that's only been in the last year.
Right now, that's a no-brainer. At
That's a
least you'll
no-brainer.
make that spread of a GIC.
Yeah, I'm making
taxes,
3.5%
then
spread.
minus 1.7. You're still ahead by like 1 or something. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. So basically, all that money is going to GICs at this point, and then when I need
That
to
makes
renew, all my GICs are being
Yes.
set up.
Then you're going to cash out
Yeah.
and basically dump it in.
Yeah, they're all basically expiring between July and December of 2024, and
That makes
when
sense.
they expire, they go into a savings account, and then it lump sums upon renewal, right?
Yeah.
At that point, my mortgage will be $200,000. I renew it at 5.5%, right? But that's basically where all my savings is going right now, right?
Well, I mean, that's
personal
smart. That's
savings,
smart.
right? Like corporate savings, right? I can't take anything out of the business. I'll get tax death being in Canada, right? Every dollar I take out, I'm losing between 32 and 41 cents, depending on how much money I'm taking out. right? And I'm not, I politically I call myself a centrist. I'm not left or right wing. No, but I don't believe in just giving my money away to a government that is not fiscally responsible with my tax dollars.
Right.
I don't really appreciate bike lanes, to be frank, right? I truly think it's
Nope. That's getting a little bit out of control.
no. Idea wise, it's a great idea, right? Practically, I think it's complete shit. It doesn't make sense as to where they're putting them, and no, bravo for them for thinking of the idea. I think bike lanes in a, I'm not gonna, maybe a utilitarian society. I'm not sure if that's the right word. Are a good idea, but I don't think they're practical in a city like ours.
No, not at all. But I mean, it is nice outdoors. Seawall. Everyone likes.
Well, it's nice for 5 months of the year.
Downtown. Yeah, no, 100%.
Right. It's nice from May to mid September. It's a wonderful thing, right? But
it only helps very little people.
It does. Yeah. It's a large input for very little output at the end of the day.
So I have a question.
Go for it.
So you're obviously working, your two jobs since 2012. You said
late 2012. Let's just call it January 13.
Okay, let's say 2013.
Yeah.
Right? What is your goal? What are you trying to do with working that much? Are you trying to retire early? Are you just trying to just accumulate? Like, what is your goal?
Retire early. There's no doubt that is the final answer. I looked at the numbers at the end of the day, and I thought about this long and hard, right? Like, ultimately, how much money does a person need? And I have this conversation virtually every interview or every onboarding I have for every client of mine, right? And I ask a client, how much money do you need to retire at the end of the day? The first answer is I don't know. How much do I need, Brandon? Right? That's generally the answer, right? For me, I figured out. My answer is a paid-off house, right? And I'll go back to that part. And about 4.5 million in investable assets.
Ooh, wow.
That would be ideal. Whether or not I get there is questionable, right? So
I literally had this conversation with a couple of my buddies recently, and yeah, the numbers are. It's funny, right? You'll ask people. Back in the day, people could retire off $1 million. Like all these fire people, all these people that use the fire method or whatever. It's like once you hit $1 million, that's your FI.
Well, what kind of fire do you want, though? Right? Do you want lean fire or do you want fat fire? Right?
Yeah.
And I want fat fire, right? I obviously, I believe in going on a cruise and having at least a balcony, right? I'm not doing a shitty inside cruise ever again, right? It's just...
I was going to go on a cruise. I'm not even kidding, and we were going to do inside interior.
I'm never doing it inside again.
We didn't go.
Okay.
When did you go?
So we did interior in Alaska.
When did you go though? How long ago?
September 18.
So did you have a kid? September 2018. No, so you didn't even have a kid yet?
No kid yet. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So we booked an inside, right? It was dirt cheap, right? It was on Royal Caribbean as well, so it was a nice line, right? It was dirt cheap. I paid, I think 7 days. It was probably $600 a person, dirt cheap. But waking up to darkness, that sucks. Never again, right? I did balconies before. I did virtually every time I go out. It's either a balcony and ocean view. Having that balcony, waking up to an open window, those waves, the fresh air, even though you're only in your cabin for, those 7 or 8 hours, it's 7, 8 hours that, you're experiencing, right? Whether you're awake or not, you're getting that fresh air or whatever, right? I was lucky. My toilet blew up. Was not my fault. But my toilet blew up and they did move us to another room in which I got a view of the main area. Noisy, but at least there was simulated light through the blinds, but never again.
So how much did you pay in 2018 for your interior cruise.
Yeah, it's like
Alaska.
$600 or $700 a person. I think it was like $1,400 all
Wow, that's cheap.
in. Yeah, yeah.
So my wife and I just found a deal. We were gonna go. We didn't book it, but it was supposed to be for July, and it was like for 2 adults, 2 kids, and I think my mother-in-law was gonna come. It was gonna be about 6 grand,
Sure.
5 grand, and
How
that
many
was
days?
pretty cheap. A week.
Yeah, yeah. That's okay because cruise fares are up now, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you looked at the Carnival stock, but it's basically doubled.
Well, I mean, it was. Have you seen that chart from like
Yeah,
2018?
yeah.
now?
It dropped from like
Straight
50,
down.
$50 down to $8, and
Straight down, right? And then
I picked it up at
bounced
12.
off. Everything has.
12. Yeah, I picked it up
Everything
at
has.
$12, and no, it's $15 right now. I made 25%, but I'm only holding my shares, and I don't know if you know this about cruises. This is a complete tangent. I'll go back to the 4.5 million right now. If you hold 100 shares of Royal Caribbean or Carnival, you get free onboarding credits.
What does that mean? Onboarding credits? Like, what do you mean?
Like they'll give you like either $50 or $100 every time you go on a cruise to utilize on the cruise.
Oh, dividends.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So basically, if you buy Carnival because it's dirt cheap, by the time you do like 12 Carnival or Princess cruises, you've made your money back. If you're in
Yeah. Totally.
So going back to the 4.5 million, no, it is, to me, it's about fat fire, right? No, 4.5 million.
So 4.5 million. Okay, so when you do your calculations, you're doing
Yeah.
4.5 million, and what you're generating, you're going to do 4% draw.
4%, yeah.
So for
160, 180 grand.
It's 180,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, 180,000. Wow.
But I'm not spending 180 grand. Right, that's basically reinvested, right? It's pretty hard to spend 180 grand when you have a paid off mortgage. You have to think about that.
100%.
Right?
I don't think you need that much.
No, I really don't, right? But at the same time, you got dividend growth at the end of the day that's going to index for inflation. So you don't really even need to worry about reinvesting in dividends. You don't, in all seriousness, right?
No.
If you buy your your typical big five banks. If you buy your large energy stocks, right, they're raising dividends by between 7 and 12% a year, right? If they're raising their dividends by that amount, you don't have to worry about the 2 to 4, the 8% inflation really, in the long term, right? So what am I doing with 160 or 180 grand, right? I believe in legacy planning, right? I grew up I wouldn't call myself super poor. I didn't have very much. I had the parents where, my parents could not afford piano lessons for me, right? I wanted piano lessons. I never had them because we couldn't afford them, right? But no, I always had food. I always had roof over my head. I had opportunity to do whatever I wanted, right? If I really wanted to in high school, I could have just used my allowance money to go buy myself piano lessons. I opted not to. I'd rather play video games at that point, right? But, money creates opportunities. It can buy, to an extent, it can buy happiness, right? In the sense of security, right? But, at the end of the day, I believe in legacy planning. I believe in providing for, my future generation, right? At least giving them a head start, right? I'm not giving them everything.
It's funny because I've been kind of talking like about this to my wife and to some friends. It's like by the time our kids are ready to start their job and graduate university, like how much are condos going to be, right?
Well, look at it this way. I don't want
to. You almost give them one because they will never afford it.
So I live very far east. I don't know, like I live in Coquitlam. I can't.
Coquitlam isn't east. Come on.
It's 45. It's 45 minutes from Vancouver. Okay, if I ever want to come to
Vancouver, what's funny? Only people in Vancouver that grew up in Vancouver think that Coquitlam's really far.
No, I grew up in Coquitlam. I live in Coquitlam. I think Coquitlam's far from Vancouver.
Yeah.
Okay. I
have friends that commute from Chilliwack.
Yeah, I do too.
To where I work.
Yeah, no, I have friends in Chilliwack as well. I might know one of your coworkers then if you know someone in Chilliwack. We'll talk about that afterwards.
Yeah. Sure.
I can't. One of our colleagues recommended I move to Vancouver to a home that's very close to his. It was listed at I think it was 1.6 or 1.5 million, right?
When was this?
1 or 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So that's like almost like tear down.
It'd be a tear.
Not tear
No, it
down.
wouldn't be a tear down. It needs about 100
Okay,
grand of
not tear
renovations.
down
I
yet.
would say it needs
Not tear
100
down
grand.
yet.
Like it was an unfinished basement. Main floor basically maybe needed a kitchen.
East Van.
East van, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that would entail me. No, I have a $370,000 balance right now. I could sell my place for maybe 1.2, 1.3. Let's just say 1.2 after commissions, right? So I would have to borrow about, you know, 450 plus another 100 in renos, 550
Yeah.
plus an existing 370 balance, right? Nearly $1 million in debt again, right? Do I want to?
The numbers don't make sense
Do
right
I want to
now. The
borrow?
numbers do not
Basic.
make sense
It's,
right
it's
now to
not.
get that much loan.
Yeah. Do I want to spend 50 grand of interest, of personalized interest, in which I have to use after-tax personal dollars to fund that debt? No, I would love to come back to Vancouver. I don't think I can reasonably afford it at this time. You know, I hate Coquitlam. I'll tell you that.
Really? Where,
No,
okay,
I
so
hate
we're in Coquitlam. Which area?
near Burkemount, near Westwood Plateau. I wouldn't say as far
That's
as
not
Burkemount.
bad.
It's
It's just a little bit. You're a little bit out. Like you need to commute to go to anywhere. Really.
I need to commute. Yeah, I have to put 45. Like, quite frankly, it's not 45 minutes because you have to account for rush hour or traffic
Yeah.
lights. No, if I'm heading to downtown Vancouver, it's about 52 minutes, give or take.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
No, that's true. That's
Whether
true.
whether I take Barnett or whether I take Highway 1, right?
That's definitely true. You're a little bit out there because if you're not like you're not closer to Highway 1.
No,
You're
no.
pretty much like
I
you're pretty
spent
much gotta go
15 minutes.
through
I spent
Coquitlam.
15
You gotta go
minutes
through to Coquitlam just to
going
get the highway.
down Lougheed
Yeah.
Highway just to connect to Highway 1.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But yeah, 4.5 million is what I think I need, with a paid off house.
4.5 million is quite a lot. My number's a lot lower than yours.
Reasonably, if I don't make it that far, right?
Yeah.
2.5 is fine. 2.5, I'd be still comfortable, right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
I mean,
with a paid off house, like your biggest expenses.
Your biggest
or
expense is your house.
gone.
You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
my,
So you
my
don't even have that.
monthly expenses. No, my strata is 140 bucks. I live in I live in a bare land. My property taxes is $3,000 a year, so no, 250 bucks a month, right?
Right.
Phone 40 bucks, internet 60 bucks, groceries.
You still have a landline?
No, mobile,
What?
mobile phone.
Oh,
40
okay. So
bucks.
okay, I'm like, you have a landline? Who has a landline these days?
You know, groceries 700 bucks. I'm probably not spending more than 2,000 bucks a month on essentials, right?
Right.
So,
right.
and reasonably, I probably need 30 grand a year to live once my mortgage is done, right?
Yeah.
You know,
But
everything.
2.5 is 100 grand.
Yeah, 100 grand. Yeah.
100 grand.
And reasonably, that's tax free, right? Coming out as a dividend to myself and my wife,
Yeah.
50 grand each. We don't pay.
Right.
We don't pay a penny in taxes. And quite frankly, at the end of the day, you know, it's comfortable enough to say, you know, I can send my kid to school. I can send my kid to, you know, hockey lessons, piano,
Yeah.
violin, whatever he wants. When
Yeah.
tuition comes, I can pay for his tuition. You know, when the time comes that he needs help on a down payment, when, you know, condos are 1.5 million, I can put, you know, 400,000 down for him, right? He can
Yeah.
borrow 1.1 at 5%. It's not my problem at that time, no.
How much are wages going to be at that time? Jeez.
Well, no one knows, right? And quite frankly, you know, my profession will be obsolete by that time.
yeah,
Quite frankly,
ChatGPT is going to have all your jobs,
I-
realistically.
yeah. I'll maybe get a job delivering food, but even that's going to be replaced by, you know, AI droids or whatever. Right? They're already doing it in Japan.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
But what's your number, Jake?
So I'm thinking paid off house plus about. Here's the thing. I work in a public. I work for government, right? So
Yeah.
I have a pension already.
That's right.
So I'm going to have a pension that's indexed to inflation,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing my pension will be, I would say,
Are you on defined benefit?
defined. I'm a defined.
Yeah.
So it's going to be between 80 to 100. Right.
Yeah.
So realistically, I don't need as much money.
But it's all
So
taxable as well. Like
It's
you don't
taxable,
you don't get that tax.
you can I can income.
preference.
I'll be able to income split with my wife
Yes,
because
you would, because it's a pension.
pension income, right?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing 1.5 plus my pension,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So it's about it'll work out to about like what 2.5
Yeah.
ish,
Yeah.
right? If I want to cash out, if I want to cash my pension, they say a pension at the end of my career is probably worth about 1 to 1.5,
Yeah.
probably 1.5,
You
right?
can't cash that out though, right?
I can, I can.
Okay. Yeah.
So people have done it, right?
Sure.
So
It's the rationale between the 2.5 and the 4.5 at the end of the day is really opportunity and comfort, right? Um, no, we live in Canada. It's not America, right? I always believe America is still number one, right? I believe in the U.S. dollar. I mean, everyone says the U.S. dollar was going to tank, it's fiat currency, blah blah blah, right? But we're not America, right? And therefore, we've seen our dollar go to $1.50 back in the '90s, right? There is some sense of security there that if our dollar, no, I wouldn't say our dollar would collapse. I think Canada's pretty safe, right? But our dollar could still be worth much less compared to foreign currency at some point in the future. That doubling, is a sense of comfort there, right?
yeah, no, definitely. More of a cushion is always going to be better, right?
In terms of early retirement, because I touched on that, right? I do want to basically call it quits in, I'm 38 right now.
Yeah.
I had to think about that one.
We're getting old. We're almost 40.
No, within, I'm going to say, by the time I'm 44, my business will probably be about 1/3 of its current size.
1/3? Why do you say 1/3?
Because I'll basically I'll eliminate most of my clients. Yeah, I'll wind it down around. By the time I'm about 44, 45.
Why wouldn't you sell the business?
Oh no, that's what I will do. No, I'll basically bring in a third partner and end up dumping 2/3 of my practice on that new partner.
Oh, okay. So that's what you mean by winding it down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like I can't do accounting forever. This job would drive me crazy if I did it well into my 60s. I don't see.
Well,
I don't know how.
If people were working 80 hours a day, 80 hours a week.
Well, you have to remember. Traditionally, they did, right? Traditionally, I mean, there's always been a tax season, right? And a lot of these accounts will work into their mid 60s, even the 70s, right? They're much like lawyers. They'll work themselves to death basically, because they really have nothing better to do. Like I have to call it quits by no later than 50, 51. Right, that was my target. Is age 51. It was a very close date to you. Coincidentally. But basically by 44, like I am basically ideally, I have 20 December year ends. I have 20 March year ends. 40 clients. Nothing else for the rest of the year. Basically, from July to December, I don't do anything. That's the goal for a good 6 to 7 years. By 44 it's a wind down. By 50 I'm done, and call it early retirement. I mean, how much do you want to work, and how much do you actually want to do with your life?
Yeah, 100%. I agree. But I mean, like, you seem to be pretty fortunate. Like you're on that trajectory to retire early. But like, look at people right now who are
sure
in that situation where they're paying $2,500 for their 1-bedroom condo.
Renting.
They're renting.
Yeah.
They're renting, right?
Yeah.
Just essentially throwing away money, but there's no other option, right? Like, if you have no help, no whatever, you're gonna be renting $2,500 a month.
I never had any help.
And what do you?
I never had any help.
Sorry?
I had no help ever in my life. I did not have help paying for my tuition. I had help buying my first car, $10,000. It was 2001 Suzuki Grand Vitara in 2005. So my mom helped me buy my first car.
You had a car in university? That's
I did.
Pretty good.
I did. A few of us did.
Wow, you didn't have to ride the bus to UBC.
I rode the bus for 1 year. I rode the bus for 1 year.
Look at you!
Yeah.
Wow,
I drove 4 out of 5 years.
Luxury, man.
But that's what I valued, though. Okay, so going back to the topic, I never had help paying my tuition. I paid 100% of the tuition by myself. I paid for my first condo. I bought my first condo on a line of credit and a credit card somewhat.
You had a line of credit back in the day?
Yeah, I had a $30,000 line of
That
credit
wasn't even a thing. Like no
at
one even knew what lines of credit were.
5.56%. So here's the thing. Back in 2009, I took $30,000 out of an unsecured line of credit. I put $30,000 into Horizon Beta Pro oil and natural gas ETFs.
Oh, one of those. Don't even talk about oil with me. That could be saved for another day.
So I mean, I was very lucky. Like when I was making 27.
Was it a 2 or 3x?
It was a 2x. It was a 2x.
2x? Yeah.
So when I was a junior, I was making $27,600 a year, $2,300 a month. This was 2008, and I had to basically find other ways to make money because everyone else was making 45 grand as a junior. I took that job at 27 grand. It was a good job. I learned a hell of a lot. I learned how to run a practice being a junior. I wouldn't look back. The money didn't matter. But I still needed to make money, and I gambled it on Horizon Beta Pro 2X's, and I made money. Right, my first 2009 2010, I made about 100 grand trading ETFs. And
that's crazy. That's insane.
I paid like 20-ish grand in taxes that year, and I had my 25th birthday in the penthouse of the Westin Hotel downtown.
Just making it rain as
just
a
making it rain.
Just make it.
I walked out
ETF win.
I walked out on Robson Street in a white robe, and I ordered
caviar.
I can't remember what it was. It was some sort of Japanese food, and I walked out across the street to get Japanese food in my white robe, and it was the party to remember. And I never made money after that on the ETFs, right? On those
exactly.
On those 2x ETFs.
Like the thing is, it's like every early trader, every early gambler is like, if I could do this every day or every week for the next 5 years, I could retire.
Oh yeah, and I bit the bullet at the very last trade I made. I lost 10 grand. I was all the way up from like 30 grand borrowed all the way up to like 120-ish thousand, and I saw. I was all in. I woke up at 6:30 a.m. I threw all my money in there, like 30 grand at a time, 45 grand at a time, and I wrote it up and down, 10 or 15% that day, right? And I got out. I made profits. Some days I lost money. Most days I made money during that time. And the last bullet, I was down, 10 grand. It was down 3 days straight, and I remember I listened to CKNW that day. I don't know why. And I just bit the bullet. And they said something on the news that basically I had to get out. Not relating to that particular stock, but basically it was more of a, of a lesson learned type of thing. When you've had enough, get out type of thing. I bit the bullet, I got out, and I never traded, derivatives again, basically. And, from that point, I bought my own condo with that stock money. And
What did you buy? Like, which area did you buy?
2-bedroom, 2-washroom, $340,000 in Edmonds, Burnaby, next to BC Hydro.
Okay, yeah, I know those buildings.
Yeah. 340 grand, and I lived there. I paid down that mortgage, sold that, and bought my own house. So I didn't have any help to.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Compare. And I do feel sorry for the people out there who are paying $2,500 in a 1-bedroom condo, renting. I think it's arguable that they're wasting money on rent. I don't believe renting is necessarily a bad idea as long as you are putting money away. You can argue the property taxes, home insurance, mortgage interest today. It doesn't make sense to buy a place today. It is possibly cheaper to rent in certain places.
I think the scales have tipped to renting being more ideal. I have one friend who has been, he's a lifetime renter, doesn't own. He could easily buy if he wanted to, but he's always kind of told me, renting, and it had never made sense to me. Obviously, with house appreciation the way it has been, it's worked really well for people who have bought, but I think that right now, like, if you had to pick and choose, like someone who's paying 5 or 6% on $1 million mortgage versus someone renting, it's not even close.
Well, I think it's just amount of leverage, right? If you bought into real estate in the good times, right, you are essentially 4 times leveraging yourself, right? It's no different than
Yeah.
buying a derivative where, you put down 20%, you're borrowing 4 times on a piece of property that, we were very fortunate for a lot of people doubled, right? So a lot of people made 8 times on their initial 20% down,
Oh,
right?
100%. Yeah.
So the people who were in, generally did very well, but people who weren't in and instead put their money in S&P 500 really just put 20% down on an S&P 500 without any leverage, right? And sure,
Hmm.
I mean, S&P 500 and real estate both have more or less performed the same. They doubled. The thing is, those who invested just didn't have the leverage. That's all it was,
Yeah.
right? But it's a trap for a lot of people in society today who, you know, they are stuck in a endless loop of, going to work, doing their 9 to 5, making 60 grand a year, clearing 3,700 a month, paying rent, paying for the essentials, not being able to put anything away, and being stuck in this, in this loop basically. But what I have to say to those people are, get out of what you're doing. You
Yeah,
can't
they have
survive on
to.
you can't survive on a
They
60
have
grand
to.
job,
They
right?
have to.
You can't.
They have to find a side hustle. They have to do something else.
I work 2 jobs. There's a reason
Yeah.
for that. I'm not saying that they're in the same capacity or position to do that. These
Yeah.
might be single parents out there, right? That may not be able to work two
Yeah.
jobs, right?
100%.
But what I'm gonna suggest is you have to make more money if you want to live in the city, or otherwise don't live here, right?
Well, I mean, like the sentiment on like I don't know if you follow Twitter and you're like on the
I
Reddit
don't.
streams
I
and
don't.
red flag deals. Like I do actually a lot of reading and I
Yep.
do follow a lot of kind of like the sentiment and obviously everyone's you know everyone's a negative Nelly when it comes
Yeah.
to like
Everyone's bitching that life is unfair.
yes, 100%. And
Yeah.
they still want to live in Vancouver. And like, yeah, they're making X amount of dollars. They're not making enough to live here. And they're like, why is it that I have to pay this much to live here? I was born and raised here. I deserve to live here. I'm
No, you have
sorry,
to
but that's just
adapt.
not the way it is.
But you have to adapt.
That's just not the way it is.
Yeah, you're
Not
not
anymore.
entitled. That's the thing is, just because you're born here doesn't mean you're entitled to living here.
No,
Like that's a reality of it. And I'm sorry that's very hard to hear, right?
it is very hard to hear for a lot of people. And it's funny, right? Because like the amount of people that are immigrating here from other countries that are just want to work 5 times harder than the next person to flourish and survive here, like those people that are lazy just aren't going to make it, right? They're
People,
competing with people who just want it way more than them.
not only that, it's a yes, okay, I accept that response, but not only that, the people moving here are people who have made it, right? And you have to
Yes, they've
remember,
gotten out to where they're
yeah, you
coming
have to
from.
remember,
They're the best of the best.
we are, I think, 1 million people in Greater Vancouver here, right? And you got a lot of people coming from abroad coming here, where there are hundreds of million people over there, right? And if you take the 1% of over there, and by 1% I mean like the top 1% earners,
Mhm.
right? That's still 1 million people who can afford to come here, if not Toronto, if not LA, if not New York, right? Or if not London, right? Um, we're talking about a large group of hyper successful people who can afford to come here, who are willing to pay that price to come here because it's a drop in the bucket for them, right? We're dealing with very large numbers here of people
Yeah.
who have actually made it, right?
But I do think that the people who aren't making it here and being super loud about like, hey, I deserve this, whatever, they look at their parents who maybe didn't have a good job. I make three, four
Sure.
times more than them,
Yeah.
and they own like 2 houses, or they were able to survive on a minimum wage job. So they see it. They see what it used to be like,
Yeah.
and then
They
what it
lived
is
through
now,
it. They,
and they're just like, what the f, right?
yeah, but and you and I both know this. Your wage earnings has not appreciated the same
No,
by the
no,
same rate as what real estate has appreciated to, right?
no,
Um,
not even close.
at the same time, I'd point my finger at them and say it's your fault for not realizing that, right? Um, again, sorry to say, right? It's about adapting to times, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's unfortunate, right? But at the same time, what did you do to survive, right?
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to put my kid in that position. I'm not setting up my child for failure here. Where
So how much do you think uh, a family would need to make to actually do well in Vancouver? How much do you think that they need to make?
and we're talking about a family that had no help. They have
No
to.
help. Nope, no help. Just like how much do you think they need to make right now? What's the numbers? What do you think?
They
I don't know the answer.
are
I'm
they
asking you.
renting right now?
Sure. They're
Okay,
renting. They're trying to buy. They're trying to get into the market. Let's say.
they have their down payment. Like I'm trying to get about to what they can afford here.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just say they're
Okay,
ready to
they're
buy.
ready to buy
Um,
in
but they
Vancouver.
have they like a couple with one kid or something like that. How much
Yeah.
do you think to flourish here in Vancouver?
Today in 2023, they'll probably need over 300 combined.
That's scary. That's a scary number.
I think that's reality of the situation, though,
It
right?
is the reality, but that's a
Because that's
scary
only
number.
150,000 a person, right? And
No,
by
I know, I
and by
know.
when I say only, right? I'm speaking in the sense that where we are in our late 30s, early 40s at this point, right? We are in those senior manager, director positions at this point, right? If you're not, there's a problem, right? And I still have friends who are senior accountants. I really don't know what they've done with their life, but they should be much further ahead in their career. But no,
Yeah,
between two people, making 150 grand each, assuming they're not paying, there's no need to pay into daycare at this point. The kids are off to kindergarten or something.
mm,
Um, 150 grand, you're going home with 100 grand after taxes. 150
yeah.
grand, you're paying about 46,000 in taxes, right? You're basically going home. 100 grand net divided by 12 is 8,300 a person, right? Your mortgage today, if you have the mortgage to buy East Vancouver again, let's just use that $1.6 million home for example. You got 20% down, which is what, a little less than 400, 375,
Yeah, 350, 375.
right? Which means you're borrowing 1.225. Okay, if you're
At
borrowing
5%, I
at
think you can't even get it. I don't even think you can get under
let's
five
just
anymore.
say you qualify 5.5. It's about five
Yeah,
and a
five
half
and a
what
half.
you can
Five
borrow
and a
to,
half is probably
right?
pretty. That's a
Right,
buffer. Yeah.
but you're borrowing 1.225 at 5.5. Like your monthly payments are
What is it?
25
Eight,
a year, about eight
nine? No,
grand,
no, probably
eight
10,
grand, eight
10,
grand.
8 grand. But that's just mortgage, right?
No, mortgage is six, right? Because 60 grand.
That number seems low. I think it's more.
It could be more.
I'm gonna open my TD mortgage app calculator, the
Look
one
at
I
us
always
nerds
use.
here. Bunch of
So let's
nerds.
just say 1.25, 1.25 mortgage, right? At
7,800.
5.5.
7,800 a month. Over
But
20,
that's just mortgage, though.
20.
That's just mortgage, right?
Yeah, that's just mortgage. That's
Are you
not
using 25 or 30,
20,
30-year
20,
amortization?
25 years. 25 years
25,
at
right? Yeah,
594.
25. Yeah. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So they're paying 7,800 a month, right? So one person's wage is just going to pay the mortgage. They'll have like $500 left over, right? The other 8 grand from the other spouse, that's going into property taxes. They're paying, 5-6 grand a year on property
It'd be
taxes
five,
now,
yeah, it'd be about 6 grand.
right?
Yeah.
Utilities are knick-knack stuff, right? All in all, groceries are probably just round up. It's an average family. It's not us. They're paying $1,000 a month on groceries, right?
Yeah.
They're leasing or financing two cars because that's what Vancouver people do. They want everything new, right?
I just don't, I guess for another day, but like, man, cars, man, I just don't get it. I
Okay,
do
so
not
let's
get
just
it.
say they're getting two Model 3s now because that's what they
Yeah, of
need,
course. Like
right?
no, Model Y, because everyone wants a Model Y because
Sure.
you still get the rebate. You get
Seven
the
hundred,
rebate.
seven
You get the
hundred times
rebate.
two, 800 times two. So they're paying $1,600 a month on cars, right? Car insurance, all that. No, that second salary is probably saving 4 grand a month, right? To basically stash away into RSPs at the end of the day,
Yeah, no,
because that's all
100%
you can do
RSPs.
as an employee, right? And as an employee, in a senior management position, you're probably making 150 grand, right? with some sort of extra to put into your RSPs, and that's 20 grand a year per person with a spousal RSP or whatever, right? I mean, that's their only play, right? But I mean, what really does how much does that really set them up? Because I mean, if they're 40,
That's scary.
if they're
That's
40,
scary.
yeah, I mean, basically they need to make 300 grand to live in Vancouver today, right?
I did have I was on Twitter and they said that the number that they actually came up with, National Bank came up with, a $1.6 million purchase. They said 322 annual income.
There you go.
Yeah, just pretty much bang on.
Yeah, there you go. So I mean, it's not it's not
Yikes.
it's not unrealistic. I would say it's not common to have two partners making that sum of money, right? If you live in Vancouver, you're privileged at this point,
Yes,
right? You usually
100%
have, because I mean
100% you are.
most households, I would say, will have one breadwinner and one person child rearing for at least a couple of years.
Yep.
And when that person returns to their career, right? When you take off 5, 6, 7 years to do child rearing,
You're
right,
behind.
You are behind all your other
You're
peers, right?
Yeah.
It sucks. It's unfortunate, but I mean that's the reality of the situation, right? So you probably won't have two partners making 2 times 150. You're probably gonna have one person making 150 and the other person making like 90,
Yep.
right?
That's right.
And they might just have to stretch thin to make things work if they want to live here, right? And you see a lot of people, buying, side by side duplexes today that are being, allowed and zoned for, right? I don't.
Do you know how much side-by-side duplexes cost right now? They're
more
like
or less the
1.6.
same. More or less the same. Yeah.
They're the same.
Yeah.
1.6.
Yeah, but I mean that's all there's available as well, right? No one's selling their house right now because
No. Supply is nil.
Supply is
right now.
nil because
I literally look every single day on what's being sold and what is selling and what is being put on the market. It's like the same people fighting for like 5 properties.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why properties are going up again, right? Or property values are going up. Market values.
And the funny thing is, you would not have thought this with the interest rates going up, but like it totally does make sense. The psychology of like, if I sell, what am I doing, right? So who is selling?
Yeah.
The people are downsizing realistically.
Well, people who are dying, really.
Yeah, no.
That's really it, right? It's intergenerational money. In the next 10 years, there's going to be a lot of intergenerational money being transferred, right? And we're not talking little money. We're talking like 7-figure money moving from one generation to another, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And there's obviously going to be, intergenerational money where, $2 million is passed down between 1, 2, or 3 kids, right?
And then there'll be a race to see who's going to buy the properties.
It's yes, at the same time, right?
Yep, at the same time. It's like all these people who are, the boomers that are pretty much going to pass on all that 7-figure inheritances.
Yep.
Like it's gonna be insane.
It's going to be an interesting picture because in some logic it will continue to increase real estate prices.
Real estate is the number one thing, and everyone knows it in Vancouver. That's the only thing that will only go up.
Do you believe commercial real estate will melt down in the next 5 years?
I don't know. I'm not really in tune with how commercial real estate works.
Well, let's just say the whole work from home shit, right?
No,
Everyone's working.
The offices are becoming empty.
Right.
But I will say that all businesses are trying to force their people to come back, right?
Correct. Trying to, but
you're a business owner. Do you let your staff work from home?
Of course. I don't have to pay for. I don't have to pay for a spot in the office for them anymore.
So have you tried So you actually encourage and you want?
I encourage them. I want them to work from home. Correct. We do everything on Microsoft Teams. Everything is done on cloud servers at this point. I don't have timesheets, so I'm a strong believer in a firm that you do not need to track every hour to bill on a client. I hated that system. Okay?
No, it gives people anxiety.
Everyone has a fixed salary. You get a raise every year, right? And I know how many files you do. I personally use QuickBooks to do my own books. I think QuickBooks is great. It's just whatever.
Yeah.
Every single invoice that I invoice out, I tag whichever staff member worked on that file. And I can see the entire year what staff, how much they produced on what file they were generally involved in, right? If it's a bigger file, they're going to have less files they actually did in a year, but they're going to have bigger billings per file, right? And all I care about at the end of the year is their total revenue that they were involved in, right? And did so and so produce what they need to produce, and that's all I care about, because I know how much I'm paying them, I know how much work they were involved in, and that's all I care about, right? So I mean, I don't care about them coming into office or stressing them out. I don't care if they're working or they're waking up at 10 a.m. Right?
Just get your work done, right?
Just get your work done. And I need the file done by Wednesday. I'm going to review it by Thursday. I'm talking to the client on Friday, right? That's all I need done. If you deliver that file to me at 11 p.m. on Wednesday because you were watching Netflix from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then you did all the work from 6 p.m. and onwards, and you just dropped it in the shared folder, fine. No, I quite frankly don't care, because I told you I was going to look at it on Thursday anyways, right? So I encourage all my employees to work from home, and I will not ask them to come back in the office. I renewed our lease at our office in November of 2019, right before the pandemic, and that office sat empty for 3 years collecting dust.
Right.
I paid $72,000 on that lease over 3 years, and I didn't utilize a single day out of it. Why on earth would I ask my employees to go back now?
So now,
but I'm a small firm. I'm one drop in the bucket, right?
Yeah. Do you still have your physical office?
I do.
I do. Why haven't you just gone remote for everyone? You just want
most of my meetings. 90% of my meetings will take place online, right? I mean, I generally have a lot of white collar professionals. Tons of tech clients at this point.
Nobody wants to meet in person.
No one wants to waste their time commuting, right? Yeah. No one wants to go from, South Granville to downtown, waste 25 minutes one way, talk to me for an hour,
find parking,
pay for parking, commute 25 minutes back, right? For a lawyer, they just lost $500 coming to see me, right?
Yeah.
Why don't they just meet me over Zoom, right? And quite frankly, they prefer it. I prefer it. Works for everybody, right? And I deal with generally doctors, lawyers, engineers, software developers, studios at the end of the day, which everyone is very tech savvy anyways. I have my office to meet with those clients who just don't happen to have the opportunity to do everything online, right? They don't have the capacity or knowledge to use DocuSign or even to scan their own papers or whatnot, right? So I mean, I still pay $20,000 a year for that office, right? And I have a beautiful view, and I use it maybe 3 to 4 times a month, but it's there when I need a dedicated office to be there, right? But I'm fearful of commercial real estate, Jake. I think there is a possible impending problem with people not going back to the offices, with these corporate owners, not being able to pay off their debts because they don't have any rental income, right? There's a very high possibility I see foreclosures happening.
Oh, definitely.
But I think Vancouver's immune.
You think Vancouver's immune?
I do.
Actually?
I do. We've seen Vancouver in both 2008 and 2020 not face real estate meltdowns.
There's too much money here.
We don't even see it today where California is melting down right now. I don't think... I didn't even know. It is. California prices are down. Residential and commercial. Brookfield just defaulted on one of their commercial buildings. So big news. But I don't...
was thinking about buying more shares. Brookfield, baby.
But I don't think... No, like you said, there's a lot of old money here. A lot of things are bought in cash here, right? I don't think Vancouver market...
The money launderers.
It's clean money. Let's call it clean money.
It's all the money launderers, right?
It's clean money now. It's in someone's bank account. It was wired over. It got through FinTrack, right?
Yeah,
That's FinTrack's responsibility to call up dirty or whatever, right?
yeah, yeah.
But at this point, the money's in Canada. The money's been used to buy commercial residential real estate. I don't think we'll have a problem here, but I think there's going to be a shock throughout the financial industry, i.e., the banks, when they have to foreclose.
So commercial real estate makes sense. Like people taking on too much debt, obviously.
Well, we're talking hundreds of millions.
And you know what's actually really funny? I still see more buildings going up for commercial real estate, and it's like, who are going to be occupying these buildings? I still don't have any clue. I'm seeing it all over, and it just doesn't make sense to me. It's still going up.
They built that Amazon building, right? They built that Amazon building in the old postal office. I know Disney.
Didn't they cut all those jobs? Didn't they like lay off like tons of people like in Vancouver office?
I'm not aware.
For Amazon?
I'm not aware.
I thought.
I know Disney's coming.
Here?
Here, yeah. One of the larger studios that created The Witcher and Cyberpunk 2077, they're coming here. CD Projekt Red. So a lot of companies are coming here.
Wow.
Whether or not they're going to demand new hires of their employees to come in office, I don't know. Right?
So what about just normal real estate houses? Do you think people are going to get foreclosed?
No, immune. I mean, there are foreclosures. No, the numbers are up, right?
I thought there was going to be some. But yeah, no,
people will make it work.
I completely agree with you.
People in Vancouver will make it work because they will work two jobs like me, right? They will go into 2 Zoom meetings at the same time, mute one microphone, mute both microphones, unmute when they need to talk, drop out if they need to talk at the same time. There's an article about this. Like people will
really,
people are. It's not quiet quitting. Quiet quitting is when you're quitting. They're doing 2 jobs at the same time during work. Like these tech workers, they're being employed. They're being employed. They work at home. They have 2 laptops on.
Too smart, man. People are too smart.
They'll make it work.
Really smart.
No, they'll make it work. If they need to pay a $10,000 a month mortgage in Vancouver because that's the situation they're in, people aren't going to sell their property, right? They bought it at the height of the market in 2019, 2020, right? The property values are down today. They're not just going to lose. Like, I was seeing, like, this 10-bedroom house, Vancouver Special, Kingsway around there, Kingsway and Knight around there. No, it was bought in 2018 for $1.8 million. It was listed at 1.6. Yeah. And the only rationale is they can't afford the mortgage.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Their payments went
up. They still have some equity. They need to get out.
Yeah, they want to get out before
they're
it's
not
too
just
late.
going to walk away. They're not just going to walk away.
Yeah. But I mean, they'll make it work at the end of the day, right? Like people will not, like the majority of people, if in the situation that they're in, they're gonna find ways to scrounge up new money. They're gonna work harder. They're gonna work until they basically burn themselves out to own a house.
So in your circle of friends,
yeah,
are most of them owners?
Virtually everybody.
Yeah.
Whether it's a condo or like very few are in detached houses.
Yeah, I mean, I only have like a handful of friends that have detached houses. It's
I would
it's
cite
unreasonable
the same.
now.
Yeah, but virtually everyone is in at least a 2 or 3 bedroom condo at this point.
Yep. And it's funny, I guess. So obviously your circle of friends are around our age.
Correct.
So then they obviously, graduated 15 years ago, whatever that date may be, and they were able to accumulate some money and get in the market. But like, do you have people that you work with or people that work under you or that you employ that are like in their 20s? Like, what are their situations? Do you know?
So I hired one person. She was my best junior accountant. She was an engineer by trade. Like she was studying engineering. I hired her in first year. No, I started her at $20 an hour. She ended at $30 an hour as a junior. Like she was a fourth year university student making $30 an hour for me. I even asked her if she wanted to switch careers to stay in accounting. By the time she graduated, she left for California. She got hired by a larger automotive company down there.
Mm-hmm.
No, she's making 150 grand US dollars today, right?
Yeah, U.S. is so different. Though.
So I mean, that was my one sample of a person in their 20s. The whole Gen Z thing is possibly a problem. Like I'm doing a study right now about the quality of Gen Z candidate students coming out of the universities. The mentality is very different. It wouldn't be. They're not. It's not a sense that they're giving up or they've realized that there's no hope. They really truly believe in value. That if they're going to be doing something, they're only going to be doing it for 8 hours. They're not going to go beyond what's required of them. Right? They're going to work whatever set wage they and the employer agreed to, right? But you're not going to get 12 hours a day out of them, right? Mm. You're not going to get, I'm going to find it I'm going to see that it's probably going to be very difficult for a large national accounting firm to squeeze 12 hours a day out of an individual going forward. I don't think a lot of people will want to go into public practice going forward.
No.
Because right now there's too much, there's way too much opportunity. Think of it this way, and this is just my profession, right? I don't think people want to go into accounting in the near future, or people will want to go into accounting in the near future. Everyone will want to study management information systems if they're in business school.
That's the new thing.
That's the new thing. Everyone cares about data today. Everyone cares about business intelligence, right?
It's so funny, when we were going through school, accounting was the thing.
Everyone wanted finance first.
Accounting. Accounting.
And, if you didn't make it into finance because there's only 60 spots there, then you go into accounting, which there's another 120, right? And everyone went in, most people went into accounting and finance. You got the odd people who went into marketing, some went into human resources, virtually no one went into T-Log, right? And some went into MIS. But today, you want MIS and T-Log. Like that, those are the jobs that you will, be successful in and make, 60 grand the first year, 110 grand by your third year. Like I don't see why you would bust your ass off and trying to get your accounting designation to make 85 grand after busting your balls for 3 years for a large national firm.
Is it 85 around there now for third year senior?
A fresh senior just finished their articles will make 85,000 today. A fresh junior will make
wages were so low before. I can't believe
fresh
how much
junior will make
up.
55,000. Well, wages have doubled. Real estate has doubled, right?
Yeah, but has wages really doubled? I thought wages haven't gone up that much.
I don't know. Okay, not that much, because a fresh senior was making about 60 grand back in our day.
Yes, yeah, it was pretty low. I remember.
Yeah, but there's no real future in audit or tax at this point. Like if
you don't think so?
If you're a fresh grad, I don't see how there's a career for accounting for you for 40 years. Because you will be replaced.
That's so true. Well, that's so true.
They're piloting automated personal taxes next year, right? If you just have a simple T4, you could hit the auto submit button and it will generate your tax return. You're done, right? The only time you're going to have to actually file it yourself is if you have a donation receipt or you have medical receipts.
The funniest thing is, I still talk to my wife about this.
Yeah.
I'm like, how much you charge for T4? And then she tells me, I'm like, you guys are running the biggest scam of all time.
Sure. like a T1 with just a T4 slip,
yes.
Right?
And it's like, you're getting this much money?
I'll charge someone $200.
Wow.
No, Jake, I charge $200. And the rationale behind that is I want you to go away. And if you're willing to pay me $200 for 5 minutes, first of all, you can do that off of your Wealth Simple app, no problem. You can do it free. There's no rationale as to why you should approach a accounting firm to get your personal taxes done. Right? You can
But
go
you
to
don't understand.
you can go to
but you
H and
don't
R
understand.
Block. You can go to
But
H
you
and R
don't.
Block and get it done for $70 if you're that hard on about getting your personal taxes done by a professional.
But you don't understand how lazy people are and how little informed they are.
I just think that I think the majority of people out there are not good with using money. That
They're
is the
not.
biggest problem, right?
They're not.
If you go out and if you go out every week and you're going to, you know, Cactus Club, you know, you're sitting down with friends having a beer, and that's costing you $60 for yourself by the end of the night. You know, an appy, a burger, a dessert, and 2 beers. That's a pretty big meal. That's like 2,000 calories. But you know, and that's like if you're doing that consistently, like that's not a good use of your money, right?
But here's the thing, right? Like again, it goes back to people just aren't good with their money.
If you need an
So they don't
iPhone
they
every
they
year,
don't they don't they don't they don't think that the $50 $100 they're spending on drinks at Cactus Club really matters, right? Realistically, it does matter,
so
but they just don't care because it's like so insignificant to the amount of money they need to like buy a place. They're just like it doesn't matter anymore.
this is an iPhone SE, okay, Gen 1. Okay, I used this up until 2022.
What do you have? A iPhone what?
This was my old phone. I used this phone for 8 years, an
Which one was it?
iPhone SE.
Oh, okay, you have an SE.
Well, I have an XR now.
Oh, big baller,
But
big baller.
I got this phone for $120 and I used it for 8 years, and it
Yeah.
wasn't until a mutual friend of ours yelled at me to get rid of this phone.
I had an XR. I literally had an XR recently, so it's a good phone.
So in 2022, I upgraded to an XR for $120.
Yeah.
And that same mutual friend yelled at me for getting an XR.
Do you know? Okay, so obviously I don't know if you know this, but do you know how much an iPhone 14 Pro Max
It's like
500
$2,000. It's
gig?
like $2,000,
Oh,
isn't
it's
it?
more than that. It's
Yeah,
more than that.
yeah. But it's about $2,000 because I remember the iPhone 14, the normal one was like 14 or $1,500.
It's crazy, man.
But why do you need a new phone? Why do you need a new iPhone every year? Okay,
You
and
don't.
I
You don't.
understand you can
But there
sell
are
that
people
phone,
that always want the best and the newest, right?
but
The
again,
newest
that's
tech.
not a good use of your money,
It isn't. It isn't.
right?
But it doesn't matter.
And are you trying to be
Here,
fiscally responsible here? Yeah, it does matter,
here's the
Jake, because
thing.
these are the same
Here's
people
the
who are
thing.
complaining they
Here's the
don't
thing
have
with the
money.
phone. I actually think that the phone is something that you use almost every single day, almost every single hour. So I
Absolutely.
can understand why a phone for $2,000, I think it's a good. It's not an investment, but it's a good use of money because you're literally on it all the time.
That's like saying I need a good mattress because I use it all the time. I understand that logic,
Yep. Yep.
but you
I
don't
can
need
I
it.
can I can see I can see the phone. I can kind of see the phone. I do see both sides. I don't think you like say for example you have like an iPhone 12. You don't need an iPhone 14. If you have iPhone 13, you don't
That's
need an
what I
iPhone
would.
14.
That's my argument though.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
XR will do just as much as a 14 would, or for what most people need it to do. Most people need a phone to look at their emails, to look at their feeds, to check their stocks, to take pictures. That's all you really need a phone for. How much better, how much more utility will a 14 Pro Max provide no, compared to an iPhone 12?
I think that upgrading every 3 years, I think, is probably good because then the
Sure.
technology does upgrade quite a
Sure.
lot.
Right? Plus your battery will start depleting as
Yeah,
well, right?
exactly. And then like you do want to get rid of that phone because then you will be able to sell it for more money.
But it's the mindset at the end of the day as to consuming that depreciation for that 1 year, which you will
Yeah,
not get back, right? Because you're buying that phone for $2,000 a day. You're gonna dump it a year from now for $1,200 or something, right?
yeah.
And you will eat that
Pay to
$800.
play, pay to
Pay
play.
to play, right? But at the
Yeah.
same time, right? These are the same people bitching that they don't have enough money for rent and that life is unfair to them,
Oh, 1,000%. That
right?
that I agree with. That I agree with. One thing that actually is really funny in my profession is that the new what you'll always see is that the new person that like basically gets hired and has finished, you know, doing their academy, they get to working, they work a little bit, they'll go. Every single person goes and buys a new pickup truck.
Sure,
Every single new person. It's like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm making this much money now. I deserve this, right? I don't
sure.
need to drive my crappy Honda Civic or my old pickup truck. I want a brand new, you know, Toyota Tacoma for like 65 grand. Or
Yep. Yep.
again, there's
Ford
another one
F-150.
like
Yeah.
F-150. Or now the new thing is the Teslas.
Sure.
The parking lots everywhere are just littered with new Teslas.
Yep.
And how much are those, right?
Yep. 70, 80 grand ish, depending on features. But I mean, that's lifestyle inflation. We all know it. We all know the term, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Plus entitlement, right? I mean, I came out of school and I had my 2001 Suzuki. I made the biggest mistake. Okay, it wasn't a huge mistake. My 2001 Suzuki did not have air conditioning, and 2008 was a really hot year, and I made the biggest mistake of buying a stupid smart car.
You bought a smart car? How much
Yeah,
was that?
like 17 grand.
Did you buy it new? No,
Yep.
you bought it used.
Nope, brand new because it had air
Brand new,
conditioning.
17 grand? That's pretty
It
good.
had air conditioning. It had a glass roof. Um, that's all I really cared about was the air conditioning. I sold it for 12 grand afterwards. Again, one of the biggest.
How many years did you get out of it?
1.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty bad depreciation.
it was pretty bad. It
That's
was one of
almost
my. It was my
50%.
biggest mistake. It was one of my
That's
biggest mistakes in my
50%.
life. Yeah, but no, we all understand lifestyle inflation, but there's not enough financial education out there
No, there isn't.
in
There isn't.
school, right? School does a terrible job.
Where did you go to high school?
David Thompson.
Okay, you went DT. Yeah, I went to Burnaby South. Zero.
Yeah.
Zero talk about
There's zero
financial
financial
literacy,
literacy,
nothing.
zero financial education, and neither, no, those in
Even in university, you learn nothing. You
no,
learn nothing
we
about
went
that
to
kind of
business
stuff.
school. We learned nothing about that. We learned how to do Excel tables and debits and credits, and
Oh yeah,
you know
100%.
maybe a few arguments and group presentations in which we hate everybody at the end of the day, right? But it's no. At the end of the day, we get a degree, and for most of us, we don't really utilize that degree properly, even as business students,
No,
right? We like to think that we're gonna make a whole bunch of money. We make six figures, or coming out when we made 60 grand, fresh out of the door. Those those candidates who were hired by like Accenture, for example, right? It was pretty good money at the end of the day, right? But if you're not saving most of that money for the purposes of hoarding assets at the end of the day, it's basically just money in, money out. It's the same thing with your example of fresh recruits going out and buying their fresh trucks on day one, right?
it's a thing. It's a thing.
But no one warns us about it. No one teaches us about it. It's probably one of the largest epidemics, plagues out there that does a huge disservice to society or to young individuals, really.
I think the one thing that's going to be an extreme shock to a lot of people in the next couple of years is how much interest they've been paying on their mortgage. The people that have hit their well, what's the term? They hit their something rate where it's like the interest is now
The trigger?
the trigger rate.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
hit the trigger rate, and like they don't put more down payment. They don't increase their payments. So now they're just like keeping payments, and then they're gonna see when they have to renew. It's like, yeah, and you actually owe more money now than you actually had before.
So I have clients right now with 99-year amortizations.
Crazy.
A few of them have sent me screenshots, and we kind of just
Insane, man.
laugh and giggle about it. Yeah, 99-year amortizations, and they'll make principal payments against it one day, and
Yeah, but these are the people that like have like just imagine people that are on the ropes, right? And like
Yeah.
basically just surviving.
yeah,
And then now they gotta remortgage, and their payments go up like 2 grand. Like
Yeah.
most people can't do that.
sure.
It's tough, man. It's a tough world.
So what jobs are safe out there if we're all going to be replaced?
I don't know, man. Honestly, my job, I don't think can ever be replaced realistically.
We
unless, like,
we
a
need
bunch
more
of,
of you. Yeah,
a bunch of RoboCops start getting made on the line somewhere.
fair enough.
But
I don't think accounting is safe.
no, accounting's not safe. Accounting's definitely not safe.
No, we went through that whole argument of blockchain about how blockchain would replace accounting. That didn't go anywhere, I don't think. And in theory, blockchain was a very good idea. I think people got greedy. That made the industry not trust cryptocurrency at the end of the day, unfortunately.
Do you have a lot of people that you know that are dabbling in cryptocurrency or like?
Not anymore.
Um,
No, most of my colleagues are out at this point. Um, I don't see any reason to hold it as opposed to other assets. No, I would generally favor gold over a cryptocurrency, even though I hate gold.
so do you actually hold do you actually hold quite like a portion of your portfolio in gold?
No, zero,
Zero.
zero,
How about crypto?
zero. As of right now, zero.
Really?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah. I told you everything I hold in the previous text message to you.
right.
Seven Canadian stocks, two U.S. equities. The one thing I left out was Tesla. I hold.
That's your fun.
I
That's your funny money.
no.
That's your fun
I
money.
hold a lot of Tesla actually.
Did you buy before it like had the big bull run,
Uh,
like
yeah. Yes.
2019,
Yes and
2020, like
yes and no.
before the
No,
pandemic?
I've averaged down, right? Like I made a bad mistake. I bought around 350 initially, pre-split, and then I averaged down into the 120s, 150s, 170s.
Yeah,
It's like
so just the
200s
recent
now.
the recent dip down to 100, right? That
Yeah,
one.
but all in all, like my average cost now is like in the high 100s.
That's
Um,
good. That's good.
but I do hold a significant amount. I think Tesla will win the AI race. I like the way they're heading, and this isn't financial advice, obviously. I like the way that they're heading in terms of licensing. I don't think I never
They're making the right play by trying to get their batteries all being used by everyone else or their
the
chargers,
chargers,
their
but now
chargers.
they're also trying to license the autopilot system, right? If they're successful in going that way and they truly become a software company where they start licensing technology as opposed to building things, I never believe them Tesla to be a car company, right? They're always going to sell. They will always sell their own Tesla vehicles, but I don't. I've never believed that that was their primary source of revenues. It's no different than an Amazon play where you have Amazon delivery, which is basically a loss leader, right? And you have AWS, which is the moneymaker, right?
Mm, yeah.
The vehicles are not the moneymaker. It's basically the image, where everything else, like the licensing, if they go down that route, is what's going to save Tesla at the end of the day. It's what's going to make them as profitable as something like Microsoft, where if they go the licensing route, that's where all the money is. Because that's Microsoft's play. Is basically they sell Windows licenses, right? They sell Office licenses.
So why why do you? I mean, yeah, you hold those kind of bigger ETFs, right? But then like
Yeah,
why are you not buying like the Apples and the Microsofts and the
because those two,
Amazons and stuff like that?
that the
Overvalued?
no, the one ETF that I sent you is a basket of all those things. It's the S&P 500 of like the top 60s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
I didn't go in and look at it.
the rationale as to why I'm not heavy into ETFs is because ETFs hold a basket of everything, and everything includes baskets of
Yeah,
losers.
it gets too diluted.
Right? Like
That's true.
I don't hold a lot of different Canadian stocks because a lot of Canadian stocks suck. They're not good stocks. Like I won't hold CIBC and Bank of Montreal, although they're very good banks. They're not as good as TD and Royal Bank. Why would I ever hold those two?
So why do you think? Because obviously TD and Royal Bank amongst all the analysts is considered, the best bank or
Of
the favorite
course,
bank or whatever, right?
sure.
Um,
Where are you going?
I'm thinking about where my question was going to be.
Why do I hold
Um,
it compared to those others?
do you think that in the long term, in the like say in the next 5 years, right?
Okay.
Like, there's a lot more beaten down stocks than Royal Bank, right? Like in the sense of banking. Do you think that Royal Bank is still going to be more returns in 5 years than say like something that's more beaten down? Like I think no Bank of Nova Scotia actually is very attractive, like valuation wise, in Royal Bank.
My investment methodology is very different in the sense that I have to invest the way I do because I'm a business owner. My money is stuck inside a corporation. I can't take it out
Right.
because I lose
Yeah,
40
it's kind
cents
of
on the
different.
dollar.
Kind
Right?
of different, yeah. Kind of different.
I'm not the same as everyone else. Where a self-employed, a self-employed, no, not self-employed, an employed individual has no other method of of reducing their taxes other than an RSP or a TFSA, right? If my money comes out of the corporation, I lose 40 cents on the dollar. The only method I have to invest in is either to make capital gains, in which I'm hoping something will go up because I don't control the stock market, right? Or via dividend, right? The only reason I'm investing in TD and Royal Bank over those other stocks is not over 5 years, right? I'd have to hold them for 20, 25 years to really see a difference, right? It's really the dividend growth at the end of the day, right? The dividend growth in those two stocks will outpace the other three banks over a 25-year period. And I don't plan to die until I'm 80, like everybody else, right? I have to, plan for a certain date of death. And, should I live that long, I think my dividend growth, which, of those two, grows significantly faster in terms of dividend payments. I only care about the dividend at the end of the day because that's how I'm going to extract money tax-free out of my corporation. Right? To an extent, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I've never liked Royal Bank, to be honest. TD is actually my biggest holding. So TD I really love, and like I've used them. They're my bank that I use, so I really obviously I like their product and I like what they're doing. I've never liked Royal Bank. They just seem like an old person's bank. They just not going with the times. I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, just doesn't appeal to me. But
I don't disagree with you. I use Royal Bank for everything. I think their services suck.
Their interface is horrible.
They're old. Direct investing is terrible. Online banking is terrible. You walk into the branch, they're terrible.
Terrible.
But as an equity, because they provide the shittiest service to you, they make the most money.
Exactly.
They make the most
That's
money.
True. Okay,
right?
I never thought about it like that. That's actually true then.
they provide the shittiest service, and because they don't, they save on the overhead and they make the most money. Right?
That actually is funny because that makes sense to me now.
And that's a fart in the wind there. Like I'm making that up right now, right? But
it makes so much sense though.
They do make the most. They do. I mean, they pay out the lowest of the five, but eventually they will catch up over a 25-year period, right? There's no doubt about it. The dividend history proves so that if you held Royal Bank since 1995 compared to BMO in 1995. Your dividend growth was nearly 1,500% in Royal Bank. It was 700% with BMO. Since 1990.
That much difference?
Yeah, it
really?
Was. Yeah, I'll send you the worksheet after the call. It is significantly higher, and I don't see. No, we can only base things based on historical targets, and I'm gonna go with what I think, who I think performed the best, right? So, I mean, I only hold 7 Canadian stocks for the same rationale that their dividend growth rates are insane. All 7 of them. Diversified in 4 different industries, really, right?
Yeah.
And then basically I just hold I hold 2 US ETFs because there are a lot of good US companies out there.
There is.
Right? Yeah. And I can't say
I
that.
I actually ignored US equities. I started investing. I started kind of dabbling in the stock markets probably 2010 or whatever, 2011. I completely missed out on the biggest bull run of all time.
So did I.
Because I didn't really want to convert my Canadian dollars to US.
I didn't trust American stocks. I thought the US economy was going to crash in 2008. The whole financial crash thing. I didn't think the US dollar would have recovered, and I was wrong. And that's why I didn't invest in US stocks until around 2015, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, when I went into U.S. stocks, it was everything in Apple and Microsoft. They were very trustworthy companies, which I knew would grow, and they did grow, right? I made good gains out of them. But there are other U.S. companies, Amazon, forget Meta. I think Facebook sucks.
Really? Meta's doing really well.
I think their platform will eventually, like any social media platform, I think it will go down one day. I think it will be replaced by something else, right?
Yeah, probably.
Think about what we had: MySpace, Asian Avenue, Zanga, and Facebook ended up replacing them for a very long time. I think something else will replace Facebook eventually.
Mm.
Right? We all went from ICQ to MSN Messenger to now
Yeah.
to now Facebook Messenger. You know, eventually evolution will replace, this social media platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't go onto Facebook or what. Like when I'm looking for good restaurants, I don't go to Google anymore. I don't go for Yelp or anything. You know where I go? I go to TikTok.
Do you?
I go to TikTok and I search for good restaurants in city, right?
Wow.
And that's what I look for. And I
I
look for
do
people's
not even use.
videos.
I don't use TikTok.
I think TikTok's wonderful for trying to find answers.
Interesting.
If you're using TikTok as a search engine, I mean, if you're mindlessly just looking at videos like YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels or TikTok, they're all the same thing, right?
They're all the
If you're
same.
mindlessly looking at shorts, you'll basically melt your brain into nothing because it'll destroy your attention span, and you'll go through 500 videos in a span of 30 minutes, and you've learned nothing, right? But if you're using it as an actual tool to find an answer, good places to go in Hawaii, and you search that up in TikTok, and you see what other people are doing that may interest you. That's what you should be using that engine for, really.
Mm. That's true.
But
Yeah, not a TikTok user. I know nothing about TikTok.
I think Meta sucks. I think your Apple will do very well. I allow licensing with the licensing approach with Microsoft. Apple has their flagship phone. The iPhone will never really go away, I don't think. Um, you know, Google is more of a tipping thing. I love Tesla. I think Tesla's great. I love Tesla
Yeah,
because
I own Tesla.
I love
own
Tesla
but
because I
not a
never
lot.
believed Tesla to be a car company.
Yeah, if that's the case, then there is a very strong bull case for it. Because the car company is overvalued.
I see Tesla as an energy company with their batteries. I don't know what to think about SpaceX right now. I absolutely love what they did with their batteries. I want to see them license their car technology, and we'll see where that goes.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Jake, we're about 2 hours in. Any final thoughts
Wow.
before you celebrate Father's Day tomorrow?
Yeah, I know. No kidding, eh? Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. Kind of my first dabble into kind of YouTube and talking on a podcast. So always something that's interests me. Finance interests me a lot, right? Like even though I'm not really in that kind of field anymore, all I do all I do kind of is just do a bunch of readings, YouTube and stuff like that. I like finance, so
I think
I
you
like talking about this
dabble.
kind of stuff.
I think it's, even though you're not in the industry, right? I think it's very good to develop this kind of community, right? Whoever our viewers are, right? To get the idea of financial literacy out there. I mean, a lot of us are educated enough to know what's right and what's wrong, right? There is no right answer, I don't think. Like you asked me today, do I use a financial advisor, right? And I said,
Yeah.
hell no, right? That may not be the right answer for everybody, quite frankly, right?
No, definitely not.
I don't use a financial advisor because I think my picks are as competent as any other person out there who would randomly throw a dart at a dartboard that had basically tags of other stocks to it, right? No, I'm no better than anyone else. I don't think anyone else is as good, any better than I am, to be frank, right? But there are a lot of robo advisors. A financial advisor who does active trading for you may be the right answer, right? It's just possibly not the right answer for everyone. But at the same time, as long as people are utilizing money, it's the right direction, really, right? As long as they're able to put something away, right? And I think that's the message that I'm trying to, of all my clients out there, right? Everyone who comes to me has to have a corporation, right? And every plan that I have for every client is, realistically, I ask them this question: can you survive on a salary with $100,000 a year? That's the question I ask every single client, because that's all I want them to draw, and I want them to keep everything in the corporation to put that money away. Earlier you said, Brandon, why are you paying off your mortgage at 1.59%? Right? It's crazy. It's crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
The same rationale is, why are you paying down your mortgage at 5.5%? If you're making 12% on the S&P, why are you paying down your mortgage at 5.5?
12% of the S&P I think is overinflated though.
Okay,
Maybe
eight.
in the
Let's
first
just let's
maybe in the first 8 months of the year.
let's just say let's normalize it. Let's just say it's the last, say, 10 years, and let's just say it's maybe 10 years isn't good.
8.
Let's just say it's 8%, right? Even if
Yeah.
you're making 8% on S&P 500 ETF, why are you paying down your mortgage at 5.5% when you can make a 2.5% spread? The answer
That's
is
psychology. It's psychology too.
it's an emotional thing, right?
Yeah.
But debt is guaranteed, right? You're always going to pay that 5.5%. You may pay more, you may pay less upon renewal, right? That 8 to 12% is not guaranteed. That's really the answer, right?
Yeah. No, definitely.
Plus the emotional response. I want my debt gone because I might not live the next 30 years, right? If I died tomorrow, I don't want my wife to be stuck with a huge mortgage,
Yeah, that's for sure.
right? Because if I died tomorrow, she would single-handedly have to raise our child, and she would somehow need to come up with enough money to pay down the rest of the mortgage or sell the place, right? Which I don't think she'd want to do, right?
Yeah, true. Totally true. Totally true. I agree.
Okay, Jake, I think we should call it a night. Thanks for
Yeah.
coming to our first show together, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Yeah.
And I certainly hope you'll come back again.
Yeah, no, thanks. No, I definitely want to. It's
Awesome.
fun.
All right, man.